Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to visit with Greg Kozera later in the program. We've talked to him before about fracking, and today we're going to talk about energy and leadership on energy, so I'm excited. Have you ever heard the word non-tray?
No.
I have not either, but it's a new word for customers trying to save money at restaurants by ordering appetizers instead of a pricier entree. The term was first used in San Francisco, and now it's spreading all across the country. So next time you go into a restaurant, if you just say, hey, I'm going to just get an entree, you're actually ordering what they call a non-tray. So there you go. A nationwide driving test found drivers in the Northeast know the least. 20% not knowing pedestrians in a crosswalk have the right of way.
Whoa.
That's the New York area.
That's kind of common sense.
Kind of explains why when I was in New York, I almost got run down about 8 times. So it makes a lot of sense now. 33% say they don't stop for pedestrians.
Wow.
It's in the Northeast. So careful out there if you ever go anywhere in the Northeast. Coming up here in a little bit, we've got a lot of special things happening today. We'll tell you what they are in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you would never ask. Today is International Bagpipe Day. Yes, Thursday, March the 10th.
We'll all be celebrating that.
I can't tell a good bagpipe from a bad bagpipe, so I don't know. I think it all sounds interesting, and I know a guy that plays the bagpipes, and I'm not going to say I think they're awful, because they're actually kind of cool. International Day of Awesomeness today. Coincidentally,
I celebrate that every day.
Coincidentally, same day as Bagpipe Day. Landline Telephone Day, so if you still have a landline, use it today. Mario Day today, Name Tag Day, Salvation Army Day, U.S. Paper Money Day, and World Kidney Day. A lot of different things we celebrate today. I'm going to celebrate by being awesome and listening to bagpipe music.
I won't be listening to bagpipe
You know, there's
music.
very few popular songs that use bagpipes. There was one back in the 70s or early 80s from AC/DC, but very few popular songs have bagpipes.
Brian Regan, my favorite comedian on this whole planet, has an awesome bit about bagpipes. If you have a minute, you should Google that and watch it.
Maybe we'll have to check that out during the break here. Stick around. We've got some fun things on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Sometimes a mugging has a happy ending even if the criminal is successful in it. Listen to this story. A retired man in England recently received a visit from the man who mugged him 2 years ago. It's a little unusual. After being released from prison, the mugger made a beeline for Charles Wiseman's home in Essex. He wasn't going to seek revenge. He went there to make amends.
Aww.
The 84-year-old was amazed when his attacker arrived to say he was sorry for the crime and handed over a bag of stolen items, including his wallet and his driver's license.
That's nice.
The 22-year-old mugger, who said he was just trying to right his wrongs, had been sent to prison for 2 years for the attack on Mr. Wiseman. He said he was choked up by the gesture when the young man came and apologized. That is pretty darn cool that he did that.
That is pretty cool.
You know,
it's not cool that he robbed him to begin with,
no.
but at least he realized he was wrong. So.
And the good news is I have a feeling, now who knows, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I have a feeling this 22-year-old that did the mugging probably won't do that ever again.
You hope not. You hope not.
Well, I'm just saying he realized what he did was wrong. He even went to apologize to the victim. I just got a feeling he maybe has been rehabilitated, so that would be really cool. I remember the movie, and it's one of my favorites, and our son loves the movie as well, Shawshank Redemption. In that movie, the guy that Morgan Freeman played, he was up for parole, and he was asking if he had been rehabilitated. And that's one of the most powerful scenes in that movie. And he was talking about what rehabilitation was, and he kept getting denied for parole, and then finally, when he was an old man, they gave him parole.
That's a movie I just don't care
for.
for.
I don't understand why you don't like it. I love it. It's just a great movie. Anyway, this young man, 22 years young, when he got out of prison, first thing he did is went to apologize to the man that he victimized to end up in prison. So I'm really proud of that young man. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. Okay, Heidi, close your eyes. People listening, unless, of course, you're driving, close your eyes and imagine a white SUV being chased by police. Who are you thinking of right now?
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, this isn't about him, though. After watching a white SUV circle the block for about 20 minutes, a Miami homeowner decided to call the police. As the officer spoke to the homeowner, the sport utility vehicle passed again. With the officer trailing it, the SUV ran a stop sign, prompting the officer to turn on his lights and sirens, because now he witnessed him break the law. The SUV kept going and ignored 2 more stop signs. Finally, when they came to a stop, the officer ordered the driver to the ground at gunpoint. After his arrest, the 39-year-old driver said he heard the siren but wanted to finish his cocaine and beer before he stopped. I heard you back there. I'm just trying to wrap up my beer and cocaine.
Isn't that wonderful?
Got a feeling you were going to take that away from me. Does not say in the story why he was driving around the block. Who knows? That is not a good thing. But that's the kind of thing you do, kids, when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Got our moment of duh right here. Looking to beat the heat last summer, a man got into a bit of trouble with Walmart and the police. This was in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, where Steve Harper went to an air-conditioned Walmart store last summer to get some relief from the heat. Did a little shopping before plopping down into a reclining chair in the yard and garden department to cool off. He promptly fell asleep. When associates had a tough time waking him up, the police were called. The cops did a quick check on his ID, and wouldn't you know it, he was wanted on an outstanding warrant for contempt of court. He was taken into a nice, cool jail cell, by the way. So he was still able to beat the heat. Just did it behind bars. So if you were wanted by the police, there's a warrant for your arrest, wouldn't you do everything you could to try to obey the law?
You would think so,
And
unless
this
he
guy-
wanted to be arrested.
I don't know. He went and passed out, and they could not wake him up. Passed out at a Walmart. Now, the last time I passed out at a Walmart... Oh, wait, no, I've never done that. Coming up, we do have your scoop of the day. That's on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. The number, Heidi? 7. Keep
Okay.
that in mind. 7.
All right.
That is the average number of firearms discovered every day at TSA checkpoints.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I wonder if they have an auction.
I don't know what they do with those. That is a good question. I know I remember one time I was being an idiot. I didn't realize just how dumb this was. I was going to the airport and I realized that I hadn't brought any product for my hair, and I had just gotten a haircut, and if I didn't put some gel stuff in it, it looked really goofy. So I stopped and got a big tube of hair gel, and they took it away like 8 minutes later. I was like, oh yeah, I probably should have waited till I got there. Hey, a Louisiana girl who's turning 8 this Wednesday, so, well, yeah, I guess she just turned 8 yesterday, had decided to celebrate in a very special way to honor her grandmother. Nicolene Perrine's grandmother, Tracy Gislar, passed away recently. In memory to her grandmother, Nicolene will send all of her birthday gifts to a children's cancer hospital in Houston. How cool is that? So, a young lady in Louisiana doing something really neat. Something else we missed this week, a new series from Ellen DeGeneres and Steve Harvey. I've seen some promos for this, like on Facebook or somewhere, and I guess it was on last night or 2 nights ago. Did not get a chance to see it. You'll have to let us know if it was good. But it's the dynamic duo of Ellen DeGeneres and Steve Harvey teamed up to showcase kids' talent on a comedy variety series hosted by Harvey. And they're going to have musicians, singers, dancers, and other performers. And there was a preview episode this week, and we missed it, Heidi.
Oh,
The release of Star Wars, The Force Awakens, has now spawned a few more. Disney has reportedly planned 10 more Star Wars
good
movies.
Lord.
10 more.
See, and I'm just not a fan, so
They're-
I'm sure
they're
there are
also-
some people that are very excited about
In addition
this.
to the 10 official movies, they're also going to have several character spin-off movies.
Of course they
So
are.
for those of you that are interested in Star Wars, there you go. Richard Lee Sanders has been charged with disorderly conduct. Now keep in mind the name, Richard Lee Sanders. Here's what he was doing. He would suck women's fingers.
Ew.
This happened in Minnesota. The 38-year-old deviant would get his jollies by walking up to a
Ew.
suburban female and pretending to admire her fingernails. He says, "Oh, your nails are beautiful." And he would hold her hand up by his face to look at them.
Ew.
And he would ask if the nails were real. Then he would lick her fingers until she would take
Ew.
off or like smack him. A judge has ordered a mental evaluation for Mr.
I
Sanders.
would hope so.
Richard Lee Sanders. And the reason I wanted you to remember that name is because his name is Sanders. He was licking fingers. There's got to be a finger-licking good story in there somewhere. Isn't there some sort of joke? Come on. All right, a suspected string of Mississippi bank heists left investigators a big clue. When he allegedly robbed a bank, he left his wallet with his driver's license inside.
Oh, wow.
First-degree theft warrant was issued for Jamie D. Allen after two tellers at Bank Independent in Cherokee identified him from his license picture as the man who robbed the bank last Friday. So, good job there, big guy. Utah police believe a man tried to eat a stolen check to destroy the evidence after he tried to buy 3 Sony PlayStations. Lieutenant
Jeez.
Andrew Hale and Police Lieutenant Shane McAllister put the check, they say that Shane McAllister, he was the bad guy. He put the check in his mouth and he started chewing when he was confronted by a cashier at the town's Walmart. Lieutenant Hale said he recovered part of the check. McAllister had been arrested and booked into the Utah County Jail, so it did not work.
Why would you want 3 PlayStations?
I don't know. He was probably, since he had the check and all, just going to buy as many as they had. I have no clue. Not sure what the plan was. Time for a strange law.
All right.
It is illegal to drive a camel on the highway in Nevada.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so if you ever come upon a camel on the highway, you know that they are breaking the law. It is a strange law, and this has been your Scoop of the Day.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. And you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. Start earning 6%. Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com right now. What are you waiting for? Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, that's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a guest joining us today that we've actually had a chance to visit with in the past. We're visiting with Greg Kozera, and Greg has just a wealth of information and a lot of knowledge when it comes to quite a few different things. But what we're going to be talking to him about today is leadership on energy, and we've got a new president coming soon, whether we like it or not. There's a new president coming. And can we afford our presidential candidates that we have running right now with their leadership on energy? Greg, how are you, sir?
I'm great, John. How about you?
Very, very good. Now, let's talk a little bit about your background so people that maybe are hearing you for the first time kind of understand a little bit about who you are and why you're a good authority to talk to about this.
Well, I've been doing energy for 40 years, and we've been involved with, I'm in the natural gas industry and oil industry right now. I've been involved with coal, and really, I'm the past president of Virginia Oil and Gas Association, so very active in that area. And, I'm the guy that kind of watched us go from energy poor, energy scarcity, energy crisis to now in all honesty, we're the energy gorilla of the planet. We just set another record. They announced it yesterday we've hit a record in natural gas production this year. We've already shut down 3/4 of our rigs because of the market right now. So that's incredible. That's what we're doing.
So we're doing okay when it comes to energy, but as we now take a look at the future, we've got this election coming up in November. So does a candidate's take on fossil fuels, does it say something about his or her leadership skills?
Oh, absolutely. I think as a candidate, as someone that's going to lead this nation, I think it's important that our leader understands what's going on. And particularly, energy hasn't really been a big campaign issue because it's not an issue. I mean, people were saying, I don't want probably $1.50 or less. I paid $1.29 a gallon. That's unheard of, and down from $4. So energy's not really a problem for most people. Matter of fact, most people, that's the biggest raise they've seen in probably years.
So let's talk about why that happened, because there are people that are saying, wow, the gas prices dropped. That's a good thing. Is that a good thing?
It is for most people. I mean, matter of fact, my wife and I were in Florida last week, and the governor made a big announcement. They had a record tourism year, over 100,000 visitors, over almost $100 billion in tourist dollars spent in Florida. And he mentioned, of course, the theme parks. But the real reason why people are going to Florida is because they can afford to. They've got money in their pockets. They're paying $1.50 a gallon instead of $4. My son flew down there with his family. Took the whole family, special on one of the airlines, 6 people, $200 to fly him to Florida and back. Now, when he got there, he spent 2 days at Disney, spent hotels, meals. He spent over $2,000 in the Florida economy because of low fuel prices.
Yeah.
And so that is good for most people. Now, the problem that we're seeing right now, and matter of fact, right in the middle of it, is because of these low fuel prices, American producers are really struggling. Matter of fact, we're seeing massive layoffs across the country. Like I mentioned, we had 3/4 of our drilling rigs shut down. So we're kind of imploding, and that's real pain for real people. But the problem for the average American is, if nobody's worried about the oil and gas industry right now, but if we go away and OPEC gets control again, now we're back to $4 gasoline. We can't afford to go back there, John.
So now, as you look at the candidates that are running for president, are there candidates that are really good for your industry, and are there candidates that are really bad for your industry? Can we talk about that?
Sure. And the two I'm most because generally, and again, I'm going to be non-political here, but it turns out it is what it is. But on the Republican side, generally, they get it. I mean, they understand business. They understand the importance of energy, and particularly fossil fuels, coal, natural gas, oil, and the importance of national security. But on the other side, all three of the Democratic candidates, and I guess there's 2 left now, when anybody that says we're going to get rid of fossil fuels scares the dickens out of me. Because, John, the reality is, we've been in Florida a couple times this year just to get out of the cold. I'm not seeing windmills and solar panels, and the sun shines a lot there. Down in South Florida, the only place I saw solar panels was to light the little LEDs around the stop signs.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't work in Florida, why in the world is it going to work across the country?
Again, our guest today is Greg Kozera. He's an engineer with a master's degree in environmental engineering, an environmentalist with over 35 years of experience in the natural gas and oil industry. So you kind of know what you're talking about here. So let's talk about fracking. I know one other time you and I spoke, we talked about that, but let's talk about the economics behind fracking.
Sure. We've been stimulating hydraulic fracturing wells since the 40s. So it's an old process. The only difference was when we began to do horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing together, that's what's unlocked these massive shale reserves we have in our country. And it's that process, that American technology that's changed everything. And it's amazing. We started first to hear these anti-frack things out there just when we began to become a threat to places like OPEC and Russia and some other folks. But, the thing that most people don't know is that today, right now, the natural gas industry in particular has done more not to protect but to improve the environment of the planet than anybody else. I mean, all these environmental groups, I call them anti-groups, and even the EPA, because our CO2 levels, our CO2 emissions, John, in the United States peaked in 2007. When we started this whole increased natural gas usage because of this whole shale revolution, we're down 11% in the United States. Globally, we're up 15%. So when people say get rid of fossil fuels, I say, no, just the opposite. The globe is increasing their CO2 levels. We ought to be sending our natural gas to places like China and India to clean up their environment, lower CO2, and it helps them, it helps us. It's a win-win. You can't run this plant on a wind and solar. It is technically, it's not possible. It ain't going to happen.
Now, I'm assuming that when you take a look at everything that's going on right now, is it possible to have an overabundance of fuel from fossil fuels? You're saying that they shut down some of the wells right now, so is that possible to have an overabundance?
Well, it is, and I think that's the challenge, because what companies are doing right now, we're, natural gas, I just talked to a friend just a little bit ago, is selling, the spot market for natural gas for March is like $1 per MCF. It was at one point back in the way back when we were short, we were $12 and $14, typically $5 to $6 is the norm. So producers, we can't operate at even $20 oil. There's a point where people can't afford to drill. They can't even afford to stay in business. I got a friend that, by the time he pays his processing the natural gas liquids out and puts it in a pipeline, he's short 60 cents. In other words, it cost him money to put natural gas in the pipeline. He's like, I can't do that. I'm out of business. So we need to find a way to actually, probably what will help us, if we can get more of these pipelines built across the country and get natural gas into some places that really need it. That'll probably help, and as we ship more of our natural gas and oil to places that really need it, like we're doing food around the globe, that'll change. But we're at the point where the oil and gas industry clearly is in jeopardy right now. And if we go away, if we can't be a viable industry, and if we have to go back to depend on OPEC and Russia, we're in trouble. And the Americans, we don't want to be there. That's bad news for us.
Greg, thank you again for taking some time to visit with us today. It's a lot of fun. Every time I get a chat with you, it's always fun to chat with you, but you kind of scare me every time too. So,
well, here's the good news is we have the energy now. We can take control of our own destiny, and that's really what's important for all Americans to know. We don't need Russia. We don't need OPEC. We can do it here. We just need to have the right leadership in Washington that'll help us do that. And there's a couple candidates out there that won't do that for us.
Well, and the good news is each and every person listening, if they're over the age of 18, they get to have a say in that, and that's coming up here this year. We have that wonderful election season every 4 years, just like we have leap years every 4 years, and this is the chance for people to go out and vote and do what they feel is the best. And Greg, thank you for informing us to help us have the best info as we go in to do that.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate you and appreciate all that you do.
Again, Greg Kozera right there. If you'd like to know more about Greg, I'll give you his website. It's GregKozera.com. Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
According to research in New Woman magazine, a man's worst day of the week is Monday because of back-to-work pressures. Friday, by the way, is the worst day of the week for women. They say they're tired after work, a long work week, and they still face weekends of chores and childcare. So there you go. Men's worst day, Monday. Women's worst day, Friday. Do you agree with that?
No.
Nor do I.
No, I love Friday.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There is cyanide in apples. It's in the pit, so do not eat an apple pit.
Oh, yeah, I don't eat
It's
the
not
pits
good for you.
anyway.
Fun fact for you,
But
Heidi.
that's good to know.
Yeah, it is good to know. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
When you sneeze, all of your bodily functions stop, even your heart. So when you sneeze, it causes quite the jolting.
I have heard that before.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Our eyes never grow, but our nose continues to grow
I
for the rest of our
know.
life. So do our
So
ears.
do your ears.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
nose and ears. There you go, Pinocchio. Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that?
The number, or the word 1, appears 16 times on the U.S. $1 bill. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I thought that would be a good thing to add today because today is U.S. Paper Money Day. So I thought, that'd be a good thing to throw in for our fun fact today. Coming up, going to talk about the color pink. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that will help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Do you like the color pink?
To a certain extent.
It says you can put yourself in the pink by just paying attention to the colors in your life. What does that mean?
I have no idea. You're reading it.
Wearing green attracts money. Writing things on yellow paper helps you remember them. You'll get faster restaurant service if you wear red. Psychologist Dr. Edna Duchan discovered these and other fun, colorful facts in a 15-year study about the effects of color on people's attitudes and behavior. Duchan's tips on colors and what they can do for you. Red energizes both your mind and your body. You'll work more efficiently. You'll keep bright red objects close by, and if you look at them regularly, you will get more stuff done. And you'll get waited on sooner in bank lines and restaurants if you wear red. Not sure why. Kind of thought that it worked out in bank lines that you just go next whenever you're next. Do you get to pass people? I'm wearing red. Excuse me, I'm ahead of you. Green has a deep subconscious association with wealth. Look at the green lawn or the green leaves on trees, and you could generate money-making ideas. So when you're applying for a loan, wear green. Yellow stimulates memory. If you're trying to recall somebody's name or where you put your keys, look at something yellow, and it'll actually help you remember. Blue relaxes us. Take a look at the sky or the ocean. If you're dressed in blue, it'll make you feel more comfortable, and others around you will feel more comfortable. Pink, here we are, has an amazing positive effect on the immune system. To stay healthy and fight the beginnings of a cold, surround yourself with things that are pink.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Gray, what do you think that's good for?
I don't know.
Says gray is great for helping you get out of yourself. When personal problems threaten to overwhelm you, look at charcoal gray cloth. And it says here, your self-centered thoughts make you more objective. Wearing gray can make you blend into a crowd, so you kind of lose yourself by wearing gray.
All right.
Violet is associated with confidence and personal power, and white is the color of purity. Look at clean white pillows, nice fluffy clouds, or newly fallen snow, and it'll help you fight and resist bad habits. So there you go, by the colors, according to Dr. Edna Duchan. Coming up here in a bit, we've got a bunch of candy that we're going to chat about. I always like talking about candy. That's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
I'm a fan of candy, and we're sneaking up on a candy holiday. We've got Easter coming up here before you know it. So I've got some fun candy tips for you here, Heidi.
Okay.
I don't know if these are tips, but just interesting things about candy. Cotton candy. Did you know they call it cotton floss in England?
Yes.
They call it fairy floss in Australia. We call it cotton candy. 90% of parents swipe goodies from their kids at Easter and Halloween. I am one of those 90%. When the Mars Company refused to let the producers of E.T. use M&Ms in the movie, Hershey's offered to create something called Reese's Pieces, and their sales went through the roof. Did you know the name Snickers was changed to Marathon in England to prevent jokesters from rhyming Snickers with knickers, which is what they call underwear? Milton Hershey was among the first Americans to see chocolate-making equipment at the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893. He bought all of it and started his empire. So that's where he saw it, Chicago's Columbian Exposition. Also, Chicago candy makers began the tradition of giving sweets at Halloween time, so that's where that started, is in Chicago. Baby Ruth was named after Grover Cleveland's daughter, not the Babe Ruth baseball player.
I knew that.
Hershey advertised the nutritional value of their chocolate with the slogan, more sustaining than meat. I wonder why they don't say that anymore. And the last thing on the list, the Arabs invented caramel for women in harems to use as hair remover. So
What?
caramel or caramel, however you say it, was originally used as a hair remover.
Really?
So I'm going to have to see if I get some caramel on my arm. If I yank it off, will the hair come with?
I bet it will.
All right, well, maybe I won't try that. Coming up, we got a story about an arsonist who likes to brag. That's not good. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
If you've chosen the profession of being an arsonist, that's a bad choice. It's even worse when you like to brag. Just ask Nicholas Burdenstein. He went and started a New York shop on fire. Then he thought it would be really cool to brag to one of his friends about setting the fire. As luck would have it, he called the wrong number, though.
Oh, my gosh.
He boasted to his friend, dude, it's lit. The whole corner's going. Then he realized, wait a minute, who is this? He accidentally dialed Michael Goldango, who just happens to be the fire chief.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, he's now facing charges of arson. So it's a bad idea. I never understood why somebody would want to be an arsonist. You know, what is the point of that?
Oh, are you kidding? You love to set fires.
Okay, but I would never set fire to, like, somebody's home.
Well, no.
We have a fire pit. I like to play with fire, like in our fire pit. And I shouldn't say play with fire. I mean, light fires and sit around and admire it. Okay, that's
No,
playing
you
with
like
fire,
to
isn't it?
play with fire. The
Yeah.
flames are taller than our house. It's ridiculous.
That only happened once. I
No,
won't do
that's
that
happened
again.
more than
I
once.
won't do that again. That's a bad idea. Kids don't do that at home. Anyway, coming up here in a bit, we're going to talk about how to keep your child from becoming a sore loser. Yeah, it's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
Right now, we've got a little political campaign going on, and you hear people talking about winners and losers all the time. Everybody loves a winner, right?
Yes.
The old adage is, you want to be a winner.
Everybody wants to
Nobody
be a winner.
wants to be a loser. Well, here's some advice on how to get your child to not become a sore loser. So, first of all, be a graceful winner. It says, be sure to say, good game. Even if the score is really lopsided, be sure to go over and let the other people know that, hey, thank you for playing, and don't gloat.
Sportsmanship.
Because if you're a graceful winner, you'll be a better loser, too. Next, avoid the who won trap. Don't ask the score right away. Say things like, how did you play? Or, hey, did you have fun? Instead of, if you ask, the first thing you ask is, so did you win? Then they're going to think that's the most important thing. So if you don't want your kid to be a sore loser, then don't make winning the most important thing when you ask
But
them.
also, don't make them think that winning doesn't matter, because you want them to strive for the best in life.
You definitely do, but don't make that the only thing. Next is share a story. Sympathize with how your child feels when they're disappointed, angry, or sad by sharing a similar experience of your own. So maybe have an anecdote ready. So if your child loses a game, you can say, I really wasn't all that good either. But then Grandpa, taught me how to do this or to do that, whatever. But make sure you can relate to them. Again, this is not my advice. I'm just reading this for you. And I'm not even doing a very good job of reading it. Next is be a good role model. Ironically, some of the worst behavior witnessed from kids comes from the parents.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Children very often get over the loss way quicker than mom and dad. Meanwhile, the parents are on the sidelines still dissecting every little thing the coach did, and that is a bad idea. If you are that parent, then quit doing that. Our daughter was in basketball for a short while, and I thought I was going to have to bring a muzzle for you because you were on the sidelines telling her, Taylor, run, go down here, do that.
I know, and I'm not even a sports fan, but when my daughter was in sports, it was like I changed.
I was like, I don't know who you are. I'm not riding home with you, though. That's all I do know. Anyway, a couple of tips right there on how to make sure your child is a graceful winner and not a sore loser. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of The John and Heidi Show is brought to you by The John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying The John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is good news. I think it is. You have to tell me your opinion on this. Do you remember the SATs?
Yes.
When you were in school, did you take the SATs?
I did.
Do you remember what your score was?
32, I think.
32?
I think so.
Out of 2,600?
No, well, then I took the ACTs.
I don't know. Maybe that's a different thing.
It must be, yeah, because I took something where like 30-something was very good, so... Yeah.
I don't know what test that
I don't know
was.
if it was the SATs or the ACTs, but whatever it was I took,
Well,
I
a
got
lot
32.
of people refer to them as the dreaded SATs. Starting this year, college-bound students will have the option to take the SATs in August. This is the first time in decades that the standardized test will be offered over the summer instead of the school year. The other changes It says here the other change was the elimination of the January SAT test date as of 2018. Officials say this will change, and this little change here will provide students with earlier opportunities to take the SAT before submitting college applications. And here's the best part. It gives them more time to focus on coursework during school and school activities, and it gives them more time for college applications in the fall of their senior year rather than trying to cram all this stuff in together. So I think this is a cool idea.
Well, I read something yesterday that said it was a top SAT preparer. He helps kids study, and he's like an expert in the SATs.
Yeah.
He recommends that kids do not take any of the first 3 sessions of the SATs. Something to do with Common Core and the colleges, and he said, don't do it. Don't do it. You're just a guinea pig. So I didn't really read the article. I just kind of skimmed through it a little. But it just said, don't take. I was like, well, I don't have anybody taking them right now, so it really didn't matter to me. But it said, you're just a guinea pig for the college, so don't take them.
Well, I think it's interesting. And I'm going to throw a link. This is from NBC News. I'll throw a link on our Facebook page. So if you want to know more, you can check it out there. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the good folks at Knowles Systems. And if you haven't heard of them, well, you need to listen up because I got to tell you all about this. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system like Knowles Systems. They have commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. If you've never heard of a commercial mortgage bridge loan, I'm going to tell you what this is. It's a loan paying 6% to 8%, and it could be just what you need. You're placed in the first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels and apartments and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. You can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. If you'd like more info on how you can start earning 6% or more right now, call 888-547-8007. I'll give you that number again in a second, but first, you might want to just check out the website if that's easier. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com or 888-547-8007. Now let's get to that bonus break. Why does it mean yes when we nod our head up and down and no if we shake it side to side? You ever wonder about that?
Not really.
I wonder how many misunderstandings there have been in history because somebody happened to be trying to, flex a stiff neck or shake a fly off or something. How many wars and multi-million-dollar contracts owe their genesis to some sleep-deprived negotiator nodding off for a second? Nevertheless, a nod or a shake is a body language signal we use, and they seem to be universal. But how can that be? Where in our biology, would this body language come and become natural for everyone? As best as we can tell, it comes from, believe it or not, breastfeeding. Babies seeking a breast on which to suck make a nodding motion, which mother and child both understand as a positive gesture. Infants shake their heads away from the breast when they've had enough or they're not hungry. So there you go.
Well,
that is where they say yes, up and down, no, side to side, comes from. It's from breastfeeding.
Huh.
Now, when I was a kid, I didn't breastfeed, so does that mean I don't have to follow those rules? I can shake my head diagonally or whatever you want to do? That's not sure. Hey, a couple of interesting things here. I always have these fun facts, and I never have enough time to get them all in, so I've got a couple that I want to share. First of all, did you know there are about 50 Bibles sold every minute all across the world? Every minute.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, best-selling book on earth. The Bible, 50 per minute still. What do you think is the most often thing Americans choke on? Toothpicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would have never. I was trying to think of food.
No. The most common thing for people to choke on is a toothpick. This I was fascinated with. Ford's most fuel-efficient vehicle in 2003 got 36 miles to the gallon. The maximum mileage of a 1912 Model T was almost identical. So in almost a full 100 years,
that is crazy.
Their gas mileage didn't really change. Think about how much lighter that vehicle was, though.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with all the standard safety equipment, everything you have to have on there,
yeah,
that weights it down quite a bit. 5% of Americans say they never, ever make their beds. I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. I make the bed.
If I get up to pee in the middle of the night, I come back and she made my half of the bed. I'm like, what in the... I'm coming back in here. Like, oh, I thought you were leaving. No, it's 3 a.m. What do you think I was doing? Hey, 1 in 3 lottery winners end up going broke. And
I knew that.
More male lottery winners than female. So, men, if you win the lottery, put some of it in savings, please. The number of times you roll over in bed, if you're an average sleeper, what do you think that number is?
20.
No, 12. The average sleeper rolls over 12 times each night. Now let's get to a couple of quick stories, and we'll wrap up our bonus break. 2 Romanian police officers were ordered by their superiors to fine themselves for walking on the grass. Elvis Presina and Iluni something else from somewhere in Romania, Craivoia. I don't even know about that. They had to write themselves tickets for 60 leu, which I think is kind of like $1. Each one of them was caught tromping over the new grass by the vice mayor, who just happened to be checking on whether the new lawn was the lawn set to protect the lawn was being respected, because they put up some things to make sure nobody would walk over it, and these guys stepped over it and he got caught.
Oh, funny.
The 2 agents were the first people to ever be cited under the new legislation, and ever since then they have been demoted. So they actually got knocked down a peg by their superiors.
That seems a bit extreme, doesn't it?
Yeah, for walking on the grass.
Huh.
And right here, David K. Booth entered a Royal Oak, Michigan 7-Eleven, implied that he had a weapon and demanded the money in the cash register. The clerk complied, then dialed 911 after the robber drove away. An officer responding to the call noticed a pickup truck parked on the side of the road about a mile away. The suspicious officer checked inside. The man was in there, and he had stolen the cash. Why was he sitting there? Because he ran out of gas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think we talked about another guy that did something similar.
Yeah, that's happened.
So there you go. Not all that smart. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show and our bonus break brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, check into a commercial mortgage bridge loan. It could be just what you need. They earn 6 to 8%. All of the details can be found at commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.